guys, it is your boy Niran here, and welcome to yet another video on the channel. Now, I don't know if you guys have observed recently, but it's been 18 degrees outside for those that are in London or in the UK. It's been warm. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it's the summer now, alright? Football clubs around the country have got to start planning for what they're going to do in July and in August for the transfer window at the end of the season. So I thought I would help said teams with their preparations by giving you a player that every single current Premier League team anyway should be selling. Watford, you're on borrowed time here. Some of these might be a little bit controversial, but if you're going to enjoy the video, feel free to slap a like on it, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. Over 1,342% of you are currently not subscribed, so I'd really appreciate it if you hit that big red button. Now, first of all, we get into Arsenal, and I'm not going to be too crazy with this one. There might be shouts for people like Nicola Pepe or potentially Alexander Lacazette, but I feel like both of those players still have a role to play as potential backups there. So we're not really going too outside of the box, too controversial yet. We're going with Lucas Torreira, who's currently out on loan at Fiorentina. The Uruguayan, diminutive midfielder's not had a chance at Arsenal for ages. Mikel Arteta doesn't even pick him in the starting 11 on FIFA, let alone in real life. The guy's not got a future there, in my opinion. But what he has been doing is playing pretty well over in Serie A, or at least playing regularly, pretty much starting most games for Fiorentina. And they're currently 8th in the league, so they're having a pretty decent season. So he might well be someone they want to bring in permanently, or he might have just generally impressed over in Italy, which means you might actually get a decent amount of money for him. Like, his stock's relatively high, probably the highest it's been in a few years. Over to Aston Villa, and we've got the Egyptian winger by the name of Trezeguet. For me, you've just got to sell him just for the pure fact that he's an imposter. He's not even the real David Trezeguet. He's like the remix on like the B-side of an album that you're never gonna listen to, but you like the original, but you don't care about the artist that much to listen to other people remix their songs. He's probably on pretty decent wages. He's not really needed, in my opinion. Brentford is a really difficult one, actually, because you lot have basically every single player that you have has some kind of role within the squad. Like, even if they don't start every game, they're still actually very useful. One player they've frozen out since basically the start of the season is Tariq Fosu, a winger and forward who I think has been involved in their matchday squad like twice. Get him gone, lads. He's got to go. Sell him to like Reading or something, or Hull City. On to Brighton, Hove, and their Albions next. Kind of another difficult one, and for a side that I always ask to sign strikers, asking them now to sell one is probably a little bit hypocritical. Florin Andone. I know I'm really not being controversial here. You're probably going to think that I've clickbaited you, but there are madder ones coming up. But again, it's just another one that kind of makes sense, really. Either way, I don't want to see him at Brighton. Just please, lads, Danny Welbeck is not the long-term fix. Please, just buy. We move on again to Brexit Football Club, Sean Dyche's Burnley. This is a pretty easy one as well. Dale Stevens, midfielder they brought in, I think, from Brighton, actually. He's been involved in more crimes than Premier League football matches this season, so he's got to go. I know the image of Burnley is pretty criminal anyway, but he's taken the biscuit, quite frankly, and none of them are even, like, Burnley-esque crimes. On to Chelsea, and this is where it gets juicy, ladies and gentlemen, because we are not going with some Don who's been out on loan 11 times in the last 10 years. Kennedy, I'm looking at you. You're lucky Kennedy broke. I don't know how you're still contracted to Chelsea, but no, we're not going with Kennedy. We're going with big boy Romelu Timberland wearer Lukaku. Yeah, for me, this hasn't worked. He doesn't want to be there, and I don't think the changing room is being massively helped by him being there. Not in the traditional sense of, he's just a pain in the arse, I don't like his attitude. But when a £100 million signing comes in and 3 months later says they want to go back to where they came from, as if he travelled here using a return ticket, then that just can't run. The man's tried to play a 1-2 with football clubs. You can't do that at this level. Yeah, it's not going to work, and I think the main problem for me is because I was having a conversation with a mate about this, and I said actually they might want to try and keep him for another season because his stock is so low right now. Whatever he does next year, he'll probably go for a bit more money if they're a bit more patient. But equally, if Lukaku doesn't work and Werner doesn't work, they probably need a striker next season, unless they're going to just keep playing Kai Havertz down the centre. And if they're going to go out into the market and try and get another striker, then there's no way Romelu Lukaku can still play for them next season. It really depends on what their transfer strategy is, and I'm sure Chelsea fans will be able to tell me more about it. But I don't know. He doesn't work with the manager. He doesn't fit into the system. The players around him don't fit his strengths. The bonus with Rom, though, is he'll probably pay the transfer fee just to go back to Inter. Crystal Palace next up, and it's yet another Belgian brute of a striker, Christian Benteke. Now, he's not actually done anything wrong. Usually when we're discussing Benteke like this, it's because he hasn't scored in 36 months. Look, listen, he still, you know, performs to the level you would maybe expect of him when he does play, but I just don't think Palace need him anymore. And this is Christian Benteke we're talking about. The guy's definitely on good wages at Palace. I just don't see a place for him in the side, especially when Edouard and Mateta are better and younger versions of him now. Next up, and we've got Everton. If I could say everybody, then I legitimately would just start again. Alex Iwobi, Cenk Tosun, Tom Davies. It also depends on whether they go down. I mean, with the win over United, it looks less likely, but if they do go down, then, I mean, the list is massive. You've got Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Alan, either Iwobi or Tom Davies. I can't quite work out which one. Leeds, there wasn't a huge amount of options for Leeds, actually, to be honest. There's certain players that they probably could afford to let go, because certain players I'm talking about here have got to go because they're on mad wages, or like it makes sense to sell them. Someone like Adam Forshaw, hey, he's just chilling, man. He's just enjoying his life, sitting on the bench, collecting his wages, paying for his family. It's all calm, but someone like Tyler Roberts, maybe, who's just never really been that prolific for them. I think he scored once in the Premier League, maybe in 2 seasons, or like twice maximum. Like, he just doesn't need to be there, in my opinion. No offense. On to Leicester. This is probably one of the most simple ones. Jose Perez. I don't know what happened to him since he left Newcastle, but Jose Perez has not played since about 2017, and whenever he does, he's awful. So yeah, he's got to go. On to Liverpool now, the side that I support, and now, the easy option here, the simple and the safe option is someone like Nat Phillips, you know, who raised his profile when all of our centre-backs were injured last season, but isn't getting any game time now. Roberto Firmino. Yep, yeah, I know. But hear me out on this one, because unlike players before, this has absolutely nothing to do with my opinion on him as a footballer, how good he is as a footballer. I still think he's brilliant. I still think he offers like a very good amount to this Liverpool side when we need him. The problem that I have is I'm not actually sure we're going to give him a new contract, and I would rather us sell him for some element of money than lose him for free, especially when he's not playing every game. Like, if he was vital to our starting 11 still, like he was a few years ago, then I would say just keep him to the end. But we've got Diogo Jota now. We could bring in another striker if we wanted to in the summer. We might as well try and get some sort of money. That is basically the only reason I'm choosing him. No offense, Bobby. I still love you, bro. Man City's kind of a difficult one as well, because there's not a huge amount of players that they've got that just don't ever play. But I've gone with Nathan Ake, which even still I'm doubting in myself a little bit, because he's a left-footed centre-back, and those can be quite hard to come by. I just don't rate him, to be honest. It's just as simple as that.
Do you think that's necessary?
You can just do better, lads. City, trust me, you can. United was a difficult one in a different sense, because there were so many people that I could choose here. A couple men have gone out on loan recently that you could choose from, the likes of Donny van de Beek, but I've gone with the other one being Anthony Martial at Sevilla, because in terms of wages and the actual amount of money you could sell him on for, there's just a little bit more value in selling him straight away. Plus, Donny van de Beek hasn't really had a chance at United. A new manager could actually come in and gel with him. It's not like he's just washed like Anthony Martial is. It's just that the previous manager didn't like him and didn't give him a chance. Anthony Martial, nah. The time's gone. He's not winning the Ballon d'Or. Take the clause out of contract. Take away the contract as well. Newcastle next. There's a lot of people you could choose here, given the nature of Newcastle right now. There's going to be a high turnover of players in the summer. There's going to be a lot of players leaving. The likes of your Jeff Hendricks and your Fernandez's and stuff. But Kieran Clark, you've got to try and sell him twice. I don't even know how that's possible, but he doesn't deserve to just be sold once. He's got to go again. He could go do a decent job at like a mid-table championship side, probably. Norwich now, and we get another slightly unique reason, actually, as to why I'm recommending this one. Todd Cantwell. Not because he's not good. For whatever reason, he's just not playing there. I know he's obviously gone out on loan. Don't know what happened, bro, to be honest with you. I think he fell out with the management. I don't know what the situation is, but he's just got to get out of there, because he's got the quality to play in the Prem. Southampton. This was actually quite difficult. Similarly to Leicester, there's not a huge amount of players that I look at and go, yeah, you don't have a role. The goalkeeping situation's a bit of a mad one. It seems like all of their goalkeepers could leave, potentially, but I decided to steer clear of that and just went with Moussa Djenepo. He's not bad. He injects a lot of pace, but he just strikes me as a bit of an erratic winger, and one that's probably not going to add too much, or Southampton fans probably wouldn't miss that much if he left. Tottenham now. now, and we're going down a similar route as we did for their North London rivals at Arsenal. We've got Giovanni Lo Celso, a man out on loan and doing well out on loan, better than he ever did for Tottenham, so just sell him to the place that he's out on loan to. Unai Emery would have an enhanced evening if he was allowed this man on a permanent basis. Played really well for them against Bayern in the Champions League, was pretty instrumental in their first leg win. So I think now would be a good time to cash in, and you would imagine, I mean I don't know for sure, but you would imagine Villarreal would be interested. On to the W's now, but it's L's only being taken by Danny Rose, is the man I've chosen for Watford. I feel like I've been a little bit harsh on Danny Rose in his time at Watford, because I watched him when he came up against Liverpool at the start of the season, and he got slapped about by Mo Salah. But who doesn't get slapped about by Mo Salah? But I think even Watford fans at this point in the season would now admit, like, the time's probably up. He could do a job for them in the Championship, but does he want to be in the Championship? Do Watford want to pay his wages in the Championship? On to the penultimate team, we've got West Ham United, and for them, I've chosen nobody. Yet, fuck the feds, this is my video, I make the rules. Even the players at West Ham, who barely ever play well when they play. Yarmolenko scored some vital goals recently. Ryan Fredericks always looks competent whenever he plays at fullback. There's just no players in that team I could wholeheartedly say, like, they definitively have to sell in the summer. And I'll tell you what, to make up for the fact there was no West Ham players, we'll go with 2 Wolverhampton Wanderers players to end things here. And they're both here for the exact same reason. I completely forgot they existed. Patrick Cutrone, the Italian once and former wonder kid of AC Milan, and Brazilian forward Leo Bonettini, who must have been playing for Wolves now. He's definitely got a testimonial. They are not required. They've been out on loan. Just send them back to where they came from. First class delivery, UPS, parcel force, I don't care what medium you use. Yeah, it's a bit peak for both of those, but they just need to find permanent homes, because at the moment they're bouncing around like sofa surfers. So that then is one player that every single team in the Premier League should sell this summer. What do you reckon about my picks? Who would you choose for the team that you support? Drop it down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this one though, feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.